Good morning. Welcome to the One Dharma Temple Sunday service. Time flies, and today is the final Sunday in January, and it seems like a perfect day to revisit our hopes and dreams for the new year. So do you remember what you dreamed for this new year? Even if you don't have one or you already forgotten what those are, you can come up with your new plans and goals and hopes for this 2024, this year. And today's dreamy, mysterious weather provide a backdrop of reflection. So through our Dharma gathering, I hope you gain some perspective and refresh your spirit. And let us begin our gathering with making 4 bows to Dharma Kaya Buddha Fourfold Grace. Please join me in standing. Your feet close to each other, palms joined together, and your minds and hearts together. We are standing before 일원상, the symbol of the ultimate truth. Another name for this is Dharma Kaya Buddha Fourfold Grace. Please join me in offering 4 bows, either in standing or kneeling down bowing posture. I bow in gratitude to the grace of heaven and earth, honoring the infinite beneficence of nature and the universe. I bow in gratitude to the grace of parents, honoring the beneficence from parents, ancestors, and all those who have had a nurturing role in my life. I bow in gratitude to the grace of fellow beings, recognizing the truth of interconnectedness. I bow in gratitude to the grace of laws, which guides us, protects us, and promotes justice. Now please turn to your neighbor and we'll share our greeting with our smiles. Please be seated. Take a moment to adjust your body on your mat or in your chair. Today, One Seungnyong Pete will guide us on how to enjoy our sitting meditation.
The method of sitting meditation is simple and easy. Sit comfortably on the floor or in a chair. Breathe in, grab all your tension, and breathe it out. Open up your chest and heart, stretch up tall, and align your spine from your neck to your tailbone. Relax your shoulders and arms, then allow your hands to rest on your knees. Bring your attention to your breath. As you exhale, release all mental and physical tension. Invite your attention to abide in your chi energy field, which is called Danjan. This is located about 2 inches below your navel and is the power center for your breathing. Open your eyes and gaze downward over the end of your nose and to the floor. Keep your mouth closed and allow the tip of your tongue to rest gently against the roof of your mouth. When your mind is concentrated and calm, pure and clear saliva may gather in the mouth. You may swallow it. Relax your facial muscles and notice your gentle smile. If your face or body begins to itch, do not scratch. This is just a sign of the energy circulating in your body. Simply note the itching and let it pass. If your legs ache unbearably, you may change position very slowly and quietly so that you maintain a calm stillness and do not interrupt others. When thoughts arise in your mind, do not be discouraged or disturbed by them. Simply focus on your breathing without reacting to or playing with those thoughts. Recognize them as thoughts. They will disappear by themselves. And remember, keep bringing your awareness back to your Danjan breathing center. If you continue practicing meditation for a long period of time, you will rest in the realm of samadhi. We are grateful to sit quietly together, finding the still point within. May we be here now, aware of our ever calm and alert spirit.
when it comes to meditation, there are many forms. Now you are invited to Sutra Chanting Meditation, page 4 and 5. Page 4. 이론 상방 일원 is the realm of samadhi, beyond words and speech, the gateway of birth and death, transcend being and non-being, origin of heaven and earth, parents, fellow beings, lost the true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened master, unenlightened people, sentient beings who one manifests as both permanence, impermanence, fused as permanence, one unfolds into infinite worth that is ever abiding, spontaneous, just as it is fused as impermanence, it unfolds into infinite worth through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe, and the birth date, illness, and death of all beings, according to how we use our minds and bodies. We transform through the systems of existence, progressing or regressing with grace, or rising from harm or harm from grace. Therefore, unawakened beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling us after Ilwon Sangdo Dharma Kaya Buddha, by cultivating our minds and bodies, deeply knowing the affairs and universal principles thoroughly, and using our minds and bodies skillfully, thus progressing, regressing, and receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of Ilwon and become one with the nature of Ilwon. Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, when deeply practicing Prajnaparamita, realized that all 5 aggregates are empty, and thus became free from all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Same is true of sensations, perceptions, impulses, consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They do not appear, disappear, are not tainted or pure, do not increase or decrease. Emptiness, no form, no sensations, no perceptions, impulses, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind. Realm of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body of my consciousness. Ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, no old days and death, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, path, no wisdom, no attainment, with nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva realized Prajnaparamita, therefore the mind has no hindrance without it. Hindrance, no fears exist, free from delusion. 'Twas a nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future rely on Prajnaparamita and attain supreme light. Therefore know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, is great enlightening mantra, is the unsurpassed, unequaled mantra, which is able to eliminate suffering. This is true, not false, so proclaim. Prajnaparamita mantra, which says gone, gone, gone beyond, far beyond, now awaken, gate, gate, parasamgate, buddhisvaha, gate, gate, paragate. Buddhisvaha, gate, gate, parasamgate, buddhisvaha. Now wiggle your fingers, hands, wrists, your shoulders, your arms, your neck and head. Let us do stretching together. Push your palms up high and stretch your backbone, your side. Release your hands down. Today we are happy to listen to our lay minister JiYeon Kathy's talk. Title of her talk is Mothers to the World. So please join your palms together. Welcome, Kathy.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. So sometimes when I sit here, I am reminded of Reverend Kim Yantawanim, who was a director here years ago. And she would sit in the seat and she would, every time, right? Every time she would look out at us and she'd say, "You're all Buddhas." And so I think when I look out at all of you, it's such a beautiful view. And I remember that we could see ourselves through her eyes and her sincerity. So I'm really grateful to be here in your presence today. So this is sort of my first Dharma talk as a lay minister. And many people in the community have asked me questions about that. How was the ordination? How do you feel? Do you feel more enlightened? Which is my favorite question. But honestly, I will tell you that I feel a little extra pressure today. But I actually don't want to bypass this feeling of feeling extra pressure, because I want to remember it for the future and in all the times that I give a talk, because I want to remember the reverence and the humility of every time I get to sit here and share with you. And I also want to remember the vow that I take every day, and hopefully when I remember, in every minute of every moment. So the other thing is that I honestly was told before I came to Won Buddhism that my whole life, that as a woman, this would be impossible. But as a woman, I could never teach in a religion, and I could not be a priest. And it really didn't matter what religion I went to, they all said the same thing. So I think I became attached to that view. So on the day of ordination, that identification was sort of in my mind. And I was also recovering from sickness. I was up all night with my kids who were sick. My husband was sick, and there was a snowstorm. I had to shovel myself out. So I'm kind of like, did I anger the gods? That's what I thought. So I really had that in my head. But I'm really stubborn, so I got in the car anyway and drove here anyway through the snow. There wasn't even a road, it was just snow. So driving through the snow, but I was like gripping the wheel, waiting and like looking around for the lightning bolt. Like, what's going to be the thing that's going to stop this from happening? And I caught my mind really starting to worry, going over and over and over again with this kind of worry. And then I started to ruminate, like, oh, it's been so long. This has been such a long journey. It's been such a hard, long journey. And this went on and on for a while. And then something really simple and extraordinary happened, which is I saw Myung Tawanim's face in my mind. And it changed my thought. Because I remembered her Dharma talk and how she carried the freezing cold water up and down the mountain or hill. It was probably a mountain, say a hill, but it's probably a mountain. And I remembered my Won Buddhism history teacher, Reverend Sungjun, talk about all of the women ministers that started this in equal measure to their male counterparts, and all of the sacrifice they made at a time of deep oppression. So how brave they were to make this, and that they were responsible for me being here today. So my little bit of angst wasn't all that great. So I felt in that moment, such gratitude to the mothers, these mothers of our world, many of whom are in this room today. So as a little girl, I did not have religion in my home, but what I did have is a mother who covered the house in saints. If there was an empty spot on a table, my mom put a saint there. So, and funnily enough, my brother was so clumsy that inevitably he would knock into like a table or a cabinet. And every time he'd break the heads off the saints. So my backdrop, my landscape was all of these little saints that are glued on heads. It's really funny, but it was pretty normal. It was very normal to me to have all these little people, this little army. So all of them had glued on heads except one. And it was a statue of Mary. And my mom would put it high up in the corner. I think she just didn't want the head to get knocked off. But she put it high up in the corner, and she lit a candle every single night for as long as I can remember. And every night she said the same thing. She said, "This is for my children." So light a candle every night for my children. And at some point, I think I must have followed her example, because around 7, I started to sneak out of my room in the middle of the night. It was like my secret. And I would sit on the cold tile floor and I would pray to Mary. So please make me like you. Now I want to be a mother of the world like you. So this went on and on and on for quite a while until until my mother, I think, got a little worried about me, because then I started wearing a blue sheet on my head everywhere I went. So I don't blame her. But she sat me down to tell me about religion. And she told me, the one thing I remember the most that she told me was that women could not be priests and women could not teach. And I really felt like, why? It was so odd. It still feels so odd, that idea. And my wish felt really simple. It didn't feel special, right, as a little girl? So it was like telling a child who wanted to be a chef that no, you can cut the vegetables, but you can never share your recipes with the world. Or a little girl who wanted to paint, that it's okay to clean the studio, but the paints are reserved for men because only men can paint. The only question I asked my mother was why can't boys and girls do the same jobs? And she said she didn't know why. Neither do I. So throughout the history of Buddhism and Christianity and many other faiths, women have been considered inferior. And it's changing slowly. But the world suffers as a result. It does. Because if we discard half of us, how can we see the whole of us? And the wisdom of these women have left for us remains locked away. Because I still have a hard time finding any history of enlightened women in the past. With all the information at my disposal, I don't see it, I don't find it. So I'm going to take a moment to share some of the teachings of these women Buddhas. And most of them, or some of them, you may have never heard of, or sadly, you may have heard that they were the antithesis of an enlightened woman. But you get to choose, you get to decide for yourself. So first is Mary Magdalene. And she was considered the closest disciple of Jesus. And she had her own gospel in which she says, attachments to matter give rise to passion against nature. Thus, trouble arises in the whole body. This is why I tell you, be in harmony. If you are out of balance, take inspiration from manifestations of your true nature. She tells us that Jesus spoke of being attached to the material world and that we should come back to our true nature. Return and return again, Namo Amitabha. St. Clare, who was the leader of the San Franciscan Order for the women's side, and she said, I admonish and exhort all my sisters, both those present and those to come, to strive always to imitate the way of holy simplicity, humility, and poverty. How many of you know St. Paul? Many people know him. Many people know Corinthians. And they know about his trials. They know love is patient, love is kind. We know that poem, right? But how many people know of Tekla? So Tekla was somebody who preached alongside St. Paul, a young woman. But we don't know of her very well. And because she refused marriage to follow God, she was sent to be executed many different ways and many different times, every time surviving. And because of this, she inspired a multitude of women. And lastly, in this, what I'm going to say is a more modern day, which is Dipa Ma. She's the teacher of Joseph Goldstein, Sharon Salzberg, and Jack Kornfield. And she encouraged her students to make every moment count and emphasize bringing mindfulness to cooking, ironing, talking, or any other daily activity. She often said that the whole path of mindfulness is simply awareness of whatever you're doing. Always know what you are doing. She would say, you cannot separate meditation from life. Does that sound familiar? So I really believe that many religious leaders want to give the teachings of their faith. And I do think in many ways they are doing their best. We are all trying. We're all in the same boat, right? We're all human. And we all act out of our own understanding. But I also think we need to seriously ask ourselves if someone who exemplifies the truth has discrimination in their hearts and minds. It's like asking if the sun picks and chooses who it will shine upon. So just like the statue that held of Mary who held the light for me in the dark, an enlightened teacher, I believe, is one that embraces all things with unconditional acceptance, just as a mother holds a love for her children. So I was coming here to the ordination that day to make a promise, to see if there was any corner of my mind that held doubt. Did I believe wholeheartedly, 100% in this teaching? Could I uphold without reservation or question the words of Master Sotasan? And with my whole heart, I can say, I can, I will, and I promise. And here's why. I have the words of my teacher in regards to this kind of discrimination and many other things as my guide. I have his words, our Ilwan Buddha, our founding master, Sotasan. And he gave us this beautiful Ilwan song, this circle, this representation of who we are. And he said that we are perfect and complete, utterly impartial and selfless. Every one of us, everything. So beyond the discernment of our differences and our personalities, we are one. So over 100 years ago, he said that there's no difference between male and female. Our true nature is beyond any separation. Our genders do not separate us. Our race, our status, nothing separates us. All aversions or discriminations occur in our mind. It's the result of our ignorance. And to say this is not an admonishment, it's a shared experience. It's human. But our threefold practice that he gave us helps us to relieve our minds of this burden and to wake to our true nature, and then use that nature in every moment of every minute of our lives. So he directs us as an enlightened teacher. And I actually think he asks us, whether we are male or female, young or old, learned or not, lay or ordained, and so on. He asks us to understand that we are too precious to allow the obstacles of discrimination and judgment to keep us from the light of who we are. Oh, let me show you this picture. This is big enough so you all can see. So I want to show you not only his words, but actions. Here, she's lovely. This is a very powerful, early Won Buddhist minister. And her birth name was Cho Oksan. She was one of the first female disciples of Master Sotasan. And like I said, this was over 100 years ago during Japanese occupation and under Confucian rule. And so women had no rights at all. They could not have an education. They only were to get married and have children and then to serve their fathers, their husbands, and then their sons. So, and they couldn't own property. They couldn't get inheritance. Nothing. However, when she went to see Sotasan, she expressed this wish. She said, even though I am a woman and therefore destined to sacrifice myself for family, I wish to become a great person who can do something great for the world. Sotasan conferred a name, gave her a Dharma name, which is Changguan. And that means seizing all of the powers and rights And he further explained why he gave her this name. So he said, please reveal your utmost value and assume all the power in the world by becoming a mother to all sentient beings. In order to become a mother to all sentient beings, you need to be enlightened to the truth of all things in the universe. Only after being enlightened will we be able to understand the relationship between you and me and all else and produce infinite compassion. After that, you can serve the whole world through the highest order of compassion, which comes from having no self. So Chungwan, I was told, did seize all the power, and her Dharma talks were incredibly moving, and she could reach the masses. And I probably wouldn't be here today without her and without the early Kyomonims. So this talk today isn't about the wrongness of men. Of course not. It's about uncovering the wholeness and the selflessness of who we are. So I want to share one last story with you. And Reverend, you told us this story a few days ago. It's a story about Michelangelo. And I was really moved by this story because I had never heard it. But someone had commissioned Michelangelo to create an angel, to sculpt an angel out of, marble maybe, stone. And instead of just saying, having an idea or sketching an idea, he went to the lake to sit and practice, or whatever the practice, ruminate, whatever it was, to just quiet his mind, I should say. He went to quiet his mind. And then he allowed the quieting of the mind to happen, and then the angel appeared in his mind. And what he said is that the angel is already in the stone. All I am doing is freeing the angel by cutting away what's not necessary. And I think that that's what we are doing as well. Little by little, cutting away. So we realize what Reverend Kim Yantawanim told us. We realize as we cut away our discrimination and our judgments and realize our own selflessness and see with the realm of universal truth that we are Buddha. Thank you for listening today.
Wow, thank you so very much. It was really moving and inspiring and informative as well. So she shared about the initial members, female members of One Buddhism. She just picked one person's name, Jo Jeon-kwon Gongtawonim, who was great teacher. And I vividly remember the day she had her ordination. It was exactly what she described. She made her way beautifully that day, and I see that she can just go through all the challenges ahead of her to be a pioneer, One Buddhism USA. So thank you for that. And by the way, you look very comfortable with that robe.
I'm trying not to trip on them.
Great, thank you so much. Page 6. Essential Dharmas of daily practice. Let us recite together, guided by One JiYeon Pat.
The essential dharmas of daily practice. 1. The mind is originally free from disturbance, but disturbances arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the equanimity of our true nature by letting go of disturbances. 2. The mind is originally free from delusion, but delusions arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the wisdom of our true nature by letting go of delusions. 3. The mind is originally free from wrongdoing, but wrongdoings arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the precepts of our true nature by letting go of wrongdoings. 4. Let us replace disbelief, greed, laziness, and ignorance with belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication. 5. Let us turn resentment into gratitude. 6. Let us turn dependency into self-reliance. 7. Let us turn reluctance to learn into willingness to learn well. 8. Let us turn reluctance to teach into willingness to teach well. 9. Let us turn lack of public spirit into eagerness to serve the good of all.
Today we have one more special program. She's already ready. So for this past week, we hosted a week-long winter retreat, which ended last night. From the retreat group, Holly North, NC North Carolina Chapel Hill Temple member, is ready there to share about her retreat experience. So please join your palms together. Let us greet Holly.
Good morning. The time I spent here felt like I was passing through a tunnel. On one side of the tunnel was a tornado, and on the other side, paradise. While on the retreat, I heard a well-known quote: "The only way out is through." My life felt like a real mess before I came here. I was strongly looking for a change in my life. I began to shift things around to make that change, and I signed up for this retreat. I wanted to set my life into a new trajectory. I gave a Dharma talk at the end of 2023 titled "Seasons Change, What Remains?" In this talk, I focused on the material world and the spiritual world. I had gotten off of my spiritual path. I was quite lost. A series of events turned my outer world upside down before I came on this retreat. I had a lot of unexpected details to attend before coming here. I barely made it here. I got everything in order to drive from Durham, North Carolina to Claverack, New York. On the day-long drive, I had time with my thoughts. My mind was covered in debris. Dust had stirred up. I could not see the way. The drive was refreshing, and I already had a sense of freedom. As soon as I arrived here at the headquarters, I felt tremendous joy in my heart. The structures all looked tranquil. The land felt sacred and holy. As the retreat began, I started to feel relief. Everything had come into alignment for my search for freedom. I was finally able to focus on my spirit. To experience the way of life here was something that I really needed. I witnessed and I participated in a daily routine that was centered around awakening to our original true nature. I found myself surrounded by truly spiritual beings. The Reverends taught me many things about how to turn my life around and to stay on my path. They showed me how to take healthy actions for my body and my mind. I learned from sitting meditation to find stillness within. I learned from Qigong and yoga to move my Qi energy. Meal times were a delight. We learned how to eat mindfully. The food was all healthy, fresh, and delicious. We practiced noble silence from 8 p.m. until 12 p.m. I appreciated having time to be with just myself, to go within, which I don't get a chance to do back home. We could talk to other retreat participants from lunch through dinner. I hadn't anticipated how much, I did not anticipate how I would make so many deep connections with others on the path. The Dharma discussions broadened my perspectives and made me not feel alone on the spiritual journey. Wisdom was transmitted to us through Dharma talks and Q&As. I especially loved the Q&As with Venerable Juksanim. I also experienced a connection with other reverends and Q&As that really helped me see where I am on this path. The evening 15-minute chanting of Namu Amitabha set me into a deep, focused mind. After chanting and meditation, we got a chance to write in our journals. Journal writing is a great practice for self-reflection. We recorded our daily functionings and awakenings. We had 6 nights and 5 full days of retreat. By the middle of the week, I was having awakenings to write in my journal. The dust from the tornado had settled. I felt alive and free being in the Catskill Mountains with people who lead a holy life. I took daily hikes on the well-made trails. At first we had snow, then we had fog and rain. I wrote several koans on my hikes. I had so much inspiration. Snow, fog, wind, and rain. No moment is the same. I am new in each moment. Towards the end of the retreat, I realized that the tunnel was actually a birth canal. I was being reborn. I was awakening to my spiritual nature. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was free. Now my only question is, can I stay on that path when I return home to the sensory conditions that create suffering in my life? I learned from my Dharma teachers, including Master Sotasan, that it is how I respond to these conditions, whether I will continue with the same habitual energies or not. My intention is to be new. My Dharma name is Wanjayu. I believe in my name. I am free. Wanjayu means freedom. Master Sotasan asked himself, what am I supposed to do? I see 2 paths in front of me. After being on this retreat, I know what I'm supposed to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your brightening spirit with us. And thank you for your beautiful smile today and throughout the past week. So that's what you can learn and change it through this a week-long winter retreat, which is scheduled next year, next January. So week-long retreat, that's really something spectacular, extraordinary, that can change your perspective perfectly. So in the meantime, you can join our other retreat. One is scheduled in April, which is journaling retreat with our guest, Dr. Reverend Grace Song, and this is a flyer for that information. And even before that, for the young adults, age between 18 to 35, we have young people's retreat, age 18 to 35. And you can take a look at this flyer and apply for this retreat. This is quite awesome retreat as well. Like, Will, you're perfect person for this. This May, we have Yongsan Stay program, which is great opportunity for you to visit the motherland of Won Buddhism and the birthplace of Won Buddhism as well, Yongsan. And Kathy has more to share about this.
I'm just going to stand up, it's easier. As Reverend Ginger mentioned, that we have it's a great opportunity to be able to go to Yongsan. I have been there twice, and it's an opportunity to really be in the birthplace of Master Soto-san and be with all of the pre-ministers who are also practicing to be ministers. And you get to walk in the footsteps of Master Soto-san, go where he lived, where he went, and also learn right on the property about the history. So the program itself is intensive, but it's also really joyful, and we get to do a little touring, and so we also get to really make strong connections, not only with in Korea, with the people in Korea and the ministers in Korea, but also with each other. So a group goes, and like I said, this is a great opportunity. It happens once a year, and we only are responsible for the plane ticket. Everything else is donation. So if anybody is interested in thinking about going to this, to Yongsan, you can ask me any questions or come to Reverend Yu and to ask him as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I was told there are only 2 spots available, and whoever practiced with us more than a year are eligible to apply this program. Thank you, Kathy. After this service, we have a meeting scheduled with Venerable Juksa님 for the One Dharma Center Kyohadan members. Kyohadan members means people with their Dharma names. So you're welcome to join this meeting with Juksanim at the conference room at 11:25. 11:25. Page 9. Morning prayer song. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day in your presence. Today full of health and with peace of mind, may I walk along the path of the Buddha. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day with your grace. Today, gratefully and with gentle words, may I live in harmony with all those I meet. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day with compassion. Today, making the world a more loving place, may I do all that I can for one world. This concludes our gathering today. Thank you.